Cara, obviously this isn't your first camp. I guess now that you've been here a few times, like, what's the familiarity, what's the comfort level in comparison to when you were first, like, kind of getting your feet wet with this?
Way more comfortable. I think everybody is. And it's probably with all coaches, right? Like the first time you come in, you're unsure. The players are unsure of who you are. And then every year their faces get more and more familiar. I'm familiar with the staff. A bunch of the guys have been a few times now. So it's awesome. It's like it gets better every year.
Were there any players that you were excited to reconnect with again?
Yeah. I mean, they're great. Millie's great. I loved working with him on D. So last year I didn't get the D as much. I was with the forwards. And this year I got to be with the D. And he's been awesome. Murch is awesome. I know him through another connection through Arizona State. They're all great. Honestly, they're all great guys. And so it's neat when you come in. This time when I walked in, they were all like, hey, versus in the past where they were like, whoa, what's this person doing here? So.
Yeah, as a former defenseman, any guys that you didn't know that kind of caught your eye this time?
Yeah, and I wish I knew everybody's first name, but I thought Andrea, this Swedish little guy, is great. I mean, obviously Bonk's young, but like he's got such upside. I think they both have been like really good.
With Andrea in particular, I mean, today obviously it wasn't the best of outcome with Denoye, but
yeah.
It just seems like for a small guy, he's really physical.
Yeah, and his footwork is so good, and he uses his size in the right way, and his stick placement's great. So even though he's smaller, he creates a bigger bubble for himself, so it's harder for them to get around him.
I guess Hunter McDonald was here last year. What
Yeah.
have you seen? I know he had a really big season. What have you seen in the improvement from him?
I think Hunter's come a long way. Also, he just looks like he's so aggressive out there right now. He's like almost a little bit angry when he's playing, which is great, but the nicest guy off the ice. So I think he's really developed in the whole year that he's been gone.
Ethan Sampson's also a bigger kid, but seems like he's got some two-way ability. What have you seen from him?
He looks really good out there, too, because he's on that same group with Millie, right? He's been really good. He looks smart. He looks way more poised, more comfortable, probably because he's more of a veteran in this camp. But I thought he's looked really, really, really strong.
What have been your initial impressions of LJ Grans? Obviously, they just added him to the prospect pool over the last month.
Today when we were doing some work with him, I thought he was great. His stick placement again was great. There's things he's like learning with like time and space and angles, but some of his like forward surfing that they've been like going over has been great. So I think he's good. They all look really good, but like yeah, he's got a lot of upside.
Were you excited to see they went with a defenseman in the first round?
Yeah. Yeah. Outside of goalies, it's probably the next most important position.
Any of the new development coaches, did you get a chance to meet and kind of pick their brains? I'm sure they wanted to pick your brain too.
Yeah, I mean, there's not many new ones. They just kind of change roles, so they've always kind of been around. But it's awesome. Like Riley's doing such a great job. Schultze's doing an amazing job. The other guys have been around. It's super collaborative. They want a lot of feedback, which is great. So there's a lot more meetings where we're talking about the drills, and someone will say, "What if we adjust it like this?" They're like, "Absolutely!" Like a lot of collaboration, a lot of organization, and really high tempo this year.
Yeah.
What are some of the changes Riley is either implementing or trying out this year?
I think changing the structure of the development camp where, first of all, like less ice sessions. Like I think we were going on, like each group was going on kind of twice a day. So compacting it, but making it more intense and more deliberate with like what we're learning or trying to teach them each day. And just very organized. Everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing, like, and building in a lot more kind of fun and rest for the guys. So I've been really impressed.
Going off the fun, I know he said one of the things he thinks he brings is just like that connection to the guys. How have you seen that bond with him?
He's like a big brother to them. Like he has that personality anyway. Like, you know, he walks in a room and he'll connect with anyone and everyone. So it's great. Like even the first time I met him, he's kind of like a brother to me. He treats me like a little sister almost in a way. And I love that, right? Like let's just be fun with each other. So he's fantastic. The guys all really like him. He's kind of safe for them. And I think they need to be relaxed in order to really like compete and show what they can do. I mean, I've been on these camps on the women's side with Hockey Canada, with the U18, with the U22s, and at this age when they're really nervous and trying to impress, they don't show their game as well. So having coaches and staff that like take that pressure off them and allow them to show what they can do, I think is critical, and he does an amazing job at that.
I guess kind of as a follow-up to that, In terms of how this camp is structured, I guess how does it all come together? Is Riley the one who is pretty much setting everything up? Is it more collaborative with all the development coaches? Like, how does everything get planned out from the sessions in terms of what you guys want to focus on, things like that?
Well, so I'm kind of an outsider, so I don't know the internal workings as much as some of the others, but my impression is Riley and Schultze are probably talking a lot about what they want to do, and Schultze's taking over the D side, Riley's working on the forward side, but they're collaborating with everybody, and I think Riley's kind of overseeing it, and then everybody's kind of giving input, but he's got in mind, and Schultze has in mind, the topics that they want to cover. So it's been really organized, which is great.
With each summer that you've been here, I'm sure you're so focused on the prospects, but do you ever sometimes try to take things that you learn here to maybe apply to Princeton?
Of course.
Yeah.
We're all pirates, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm bringing them stuff. And I would say the neat part is that the men's game, as it's getting faster and more skilled and less physical, they're starting to do some of the stuff we've always been doing in women's hockey. So they actually really appreciate my feedback, because now angling and stick placement and taking away time and space versus just going in and hitting guys, the game is evolving towards our game a bit. So it's been neat where they're like, hey, I need you to teach this stuff, or we want to talk about this stuff. But I don't know. I think it's been, wait, what was the first part?
Basically, I know you're so focused on
Oh,
helping
the
prospects
coaches.
with
Yeah,
teams.
yeah. But so I'll take back every practice
Yeah.
plan. And I ask, are we filming these? So because when we're doing the skill stuff, it's hard to remember it 3 months later, but it's all the same stuff we'll work on with RD. So if they're filming it, I'm going to take all the video and steal everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Years ago, there was a power skating coach in NHL, Laura Stam, who worked with the Islanders and some others. She was viewed as sort of a pioneer. I don't know to what extent your involvement or other women would be in the future, but do you view yourself a little bit as a pioneer?
Yeah. I think there has been skating coaches and maybe some mental skills coaches, but there's not enough still of on-ice coaches. And girls growing up had male coaches in their lives, so if a man or a woman comes in, it's not a big deal to them. But I don't think there's anyone out here that had a woman coaching them, even when they're young. I think we need to be involved with younger boys hockey. But I think it is a little bit of a pioneer, and I'm happy. I think that you're going to see a lot start coming on soon. I mean, this program they're doing with the NHLPA, the NHL Coaches Association, they're bringing in women and minority coaches across 10 NHL clubs this year. So you're going to see it a lot more. But yeah, I feel that way, which is great. And there's a little bit of pressure, because if I'm going to be representing a gender, I want to do a really good job, right?
I guess since we're talking about women's hockey, I guess what has it been like to watch the women's professional side just go through all the changes?
Yeah, I don't follow it enough to kind of understand it, but I am happy with the fact that now women are going to be able to make a living playing hockey. It needs to happen, so that part's really exciting.
As a coach of those college players, how big is it for them to have something to look forward to?
It's huge, and just going through the recruiting process right now, when I was originally recruiting years ago, college hockey, and then maybe that 2%, 1% that made it to the Olympics, but college hockey was it, right? And now we're talking more about getting them ready for pro hockey. So we have to work a lot more on kind of developing, and as we're talking about development versus college hockey being the pinnacle for women. So I think it's really important to them. We're at Princeton, where you'd think they'd go off and do careers in other areas, but they all want to play after, and it's actually a possibility now.
How much does that change the way you coach? Because as you said, before, the exception of the players that were going on to play for the national teams, that was it. College was the end. But
Yeah.
now that there is potentially more, does that make you into more of a developer?
It doesn't for me, because that's always been our thing. At Princeton, we've always done a good job developing our players, because also if you want to win championships, you better make your players better. But it's more in the conversations you're having with them about individual development plans, versus back in the day it was about developing them so they could play in your team systems. But now we're talking about, where do you want to be next? What do you need to do to get to that next level? So more in our conversations, less in the way I coach, just kind of streamlining it so they understand what we're doing.
if you look in the stands, you see a lot of women and girls here. Does that make each skate impactful in the sense that if they see you out there, they say, hey, I can do that sometime too?
Yeah, that actually just happened after this
Really?
skate. I didn't really think about that part until after I got off the ice. One of the dads said, "Hey, my daughter's here," and the neat part was she came just to watch hockey and was like, "Oh my goodness, there's a girl on the ice," and it lights them up and it makes them think, "Wow, there's girls out here. It's something maybe I could do." I'm sure they've thought about playing now, but like to think about coaching and to now think about coaching professional hockey, this is a whole new area that's getting exciting for them.